It's the grandson of Right Thought. Welcome back to the School of Marvelous Light, Little Flock. Little Flockalators, one of the things that I love about the School of Marvelous Light is that when you have a question, you can get your question answered right away. You don't have to wait. It's not like the old church where the pastor got up there and he gave a sermon. And during that sermon, you couldn't just stop and raise your hand and just ask a question and the sermon's going to make a turn and go that way. And he's going to teach concerning the question you've asked. It's not the way it went. You had to just be quiet until he was done preaching. And then if you had a question, then you asked at some other time. But the beauty about the School of Marvelous Light is you can just ask and you can get your answer right away. So for the benefit of the whole team of flockalators, one of the members of the flock asked a question concerning the book of Micah chapter 4. So everybody go to Micah chapter 4. And this member of the little flock was telling me about how they had understood a lot of the things that I'm teaching here at the School of Marvelous Light. This is just like the cherry on top, you see? It's like the confirmation that you've always been looking for. See what I mean, little flock? Well, there's a reason for all of that. You see? There's a reason that when you come here, it's not like you're necessarily learning anything. You're actually being reminded of what you had already been taught. Interesting school, huh? It's an interesting university, the School of Marvelous Light. See, because light, when it turns on in the room, it reveals what's already in the room. The light doesn't put the objects in the room when it come on, even though it seems that way. In other words, you didn't see it until the light came on, but it doesn't mean that it wasn't there before the light came on. It was always there. You see, it was always in your mind, but the light had to be turned on in there in order for you to see those thoughts that you had hidden away in there. Wow, I knew this. I knew I had heard this before. You see, it's what we're being reminded here at the School of Marvelous Light. Not taught anything that's new, that no one has ever been taught before, but reminded. You see? So let's all go to Micah chapter 4 and let's read and get some understanding. Do what we do, little flockalators. Start at verse 1. But in the last days, see, pertinent to us, right, little flock? But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of the Lord shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow unto it. Stop. Y'all know how we do. We about to percolate real quick. So what does it mean that the mountain of the house of the Lord shall be established in the top of the mountains? Mountain represents an elevated state of consciousness. As we know, the history of the Israelites, it talks about two mountains in particular. One being called Zion, the other being called Sinai. The scripture says that Sinai genders to bondage. In other words, it is an elevated state of consciousness, that is, the law, Moses, the Levitical priesthood, the teachers of the old law. That's an elevated state of consciousness that they teach, but it genders to bondage. It produces bond children. You see that there, little flock? But there's another more highly exalted, elevated state of consciousness called Zion. You see? So let's continue and read now that we have that understanding. See what all are getting? We get understanding. See that? Help us to unveil what we're looking at. The hell with just looking at something. We want to unveil what we're looking at. It's like having a new bride, right? You don't want to just look at her. Looking at her is cool at first, but you want to unveil what you're looking at. You see that today, little flock? So it says, the mountain of the house of the Lord. Stop. Remember, we're breaking this down and percolating. So the house of the Lord. Well, we know the Lord. That means I am, because that's his name. You see that? We know his position, but we know that his name is I am. So we may as well call him by his name since we know him. You see that there? House means body or location of residence. That's what it means to you, right? Well, Abba doesn't dwell in any house made with hands. So what kind of house do you think he dwells in? People. See that there, little flockalators? All right. So the mountain of the house of the Lord. How have we translated that, little flock? The elevated state of consciousness of the body of I am. The body also is translated church. So the church of I am have an elevated state of consciousness that other people just don't got. You see what I mean, little flockalators? What did I say so boldly the other day? I said the little flockalators know more than everybody else. Do you see why I'm saying that now? Because if you're being taught at the school of marvelous light, then you're going to know what I know. And I have an elevated state of consciousness because of the mountain that I am. I'm not Sinai. Don't I prove it by what I say to you guys when I teach? That I am of a better priesthood, a new priesthood, Melchizedek. See that there, little flockalators. So now, Zion gendereth to free children. Sarah gendereth to free children. Hagar, which is Sinai, gendereth to bondage. See how they got two different mothers or two different states of consciousness that they're raised in, states of thought, or in other words, rudiment, order of the day that you're born into, traditions, mindsets, ideals that have been accepted by the people. That's what you're born into. That's Hagar. See, what the people thought they were doing by keeping the law, by the letter, they thought they were doing it right. You see that there, little flockalators? They thought that they were. You see? So the mountain of the house of I am, the mountain of the body of I am, shall be established in the top of the mountains, see? Above every other state of consciousness. That's why I dare anybody else. I know where I'm standing at. I know how high I'm standing. I'm standing at the most high peak. The most high that everybody says that they worship is love. There's a script to prove it in case you don't believe that that is so. So since he is love, then what peak am I standing on that is elevated above every other peak? That would be love. Do you see what I'm saying? Am I going to any location? You need to understand that, little flock. Am I going to any location to be standing on that mount? Nope. Am I where your eyes tell you I am? Well, if I'm standing on that mount, then no. Well, then how, grandson? Well, we're going to get into it as we keep on reading. All right? So let's continue. Now that we understand that. And it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow into it. See? So when it's lifted up and risen above everybody else, and everybody can obviously see that it's above every other state of consciousness, every other teaching, every other doctrine, every other dogma. See what I was saying on my video? When people see that it is above all of that, then they will flow into it. They will come. And you guys are starting to do so. See what I mean, little flock? It will trickle at first, and then it will explode into a great multitude because it's going to be a regathering. And the regathering is going to be to that highly elevated state of consciousness. That mountain. You see their little flockalators? All right, let's continue. And many nations shall come and say, come and let us go up to the mountain of I am. See their little flock? That house, that body of I am sure is highly elevated. I sure would like to be highly elevated. Well, let's go up there. See, to that state of consciousness of love. Let's go there. See, leave everything else behind that I've been traveling after. Those other mountains I was trying to climb up. Let me stop doing that and climb up this true mountain here. You see? Let us go up to the mountain of I am, see, and to the house of the El of Jacob. See? So we know what these words mean now, because that's what we do here at the School of Marvelous Light. Let us go up to the mountain of I am and to the body of love of who? The supplanter. What did he supplant? I just told you. The old dogmas, the old ideas, the old rudiments that you were born into that you thought were good. And all it is it makes you appear outwardly good. If you eat healthy, you will appear outwardly beautiful to people. So then they'll come to you and say, well, wow, how did you get that glory? Well, I ate like this and did like this. And they'll stay there with you on that mountain until they become a slave to that thing. it genders to bondage. It makes you a slave to it, which means if you don't eat right, then you'll lose those physical benefits. Then you'll think that you have failed and you are not a good person and you have done it right. So you flee, you try to run back up to that mountain, you run back down, you run back up to that mountain, you run back down. You can never keep it, just like the Bible says you can't. You can never do it perfectly. You can't eat right perfectly if the money fails, if there's no food to eat, if there's a famine in the land. How the hell can you eat right? I wrote in a song, I went from watching what I eat to nothing in the fridge. Did you hear the words? I went from watching what I eat to nothing in my fridge. So how in the hell can I decide what would be healthy if I eat, or what's the best thing for me to eat if I don't have anything to eat? Hope y'all heard that wisdom. All right. And he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the law shall go forth of Zion. See? Not Sinai. Do you guys hear that? The law is going to go forth out of Zion, not out of Sinai. I told you, Sinai gendereth to bondage. You guys should all know what Sinai told you to do. It's right there in the Bible in the Old Testament if you want to know. Well, that genders to bondage. This genders to free, coming to Zion. You see? You see that there? And if you learn his ways and walk in his paths, you see, for the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of I am from Jerusalem, the right feelings, like I told you. And he shall judge among many people, and rebuke strong nations afar off. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up a sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Doesn't this sound like just what happens in the days of when the man whose name is the branch comes on the earth? And the lion no more is hunting his prey. He's now laying down with the prey he used to eat. The bear is also laying down with the prey he used to eat, playing with him, having fun. The kid is also playing with the snake. Human beings are no longer shooting with guns, but they're actually turning their guns into pruning hooks and shears to do gardening work with and till the earth with instead of kill with. Why do you think that is? Whose doctrine do you think has gone forth? It couldn't be this doctrine that the grandson of right thought has been preaching to you guys on the earth, could it be? It couldn't be loving their brothers while they destroyed their weapons and took pruning hooks and shears in their hands. It's not because they decided that loving your brother was the better thing to do over everything else that they thought that they were doing that was good. Huh, little flockalators. Told ya. You know what I'm talking about, y'all. You know what you talking about? Continuing. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. That was verse 3. Verse 4. But they shall sit every man under his vine and under his fig tree, and none shall make them afraid. For the mouth of I am of hosts have spoken it. You hear that there, little flockalators? That means people are going to dwell safely chilling. They're going to dwell safely chilling when the right thought is elevated to man's mind. Man has to accept the right thought in order to move forward rightly. Isn't it obvious? If a man is what he thinks that he is, then he must take right thoughts in order to be the right thing. You see it there, little flockalators? All right then, continuing. For all people will walk every one in the name of his God. See? Just like those who take the mark of the name of their God, which is a number. Because what do you use when you're talking about making some money? Do you use numbers? So then you got numbers and how much numbers on your brain. See? How much I'm going to get. Let me see. If I put this and invest this and do this, then I do that. You got calculations going on in your brain. That's the mark that the beast has on his brain. But what do the elect have on their brain? The seal of the living God, which is his name. I am. That's why it's called the living God. Because he can actually exist, unlike those other gods that cannot I am. They can't do anything. They cannot be. See what I'm telling you, little flock? So they're not the living God. But people are going to go ahead, it said. You see that there? Even though the right thought is being elevated in the land, there are some who are still going to go chase after their own gods, we read here. But we see that in verse 5, and we see will walk in the name, excuse me, and we will walk in the name of I am our our power, our love forever and ever. See what I'm saying? When we gonna stop praising I am? When we gonna stop serving I am? When we gonna stop celebrating in this holy mountain where the grandson is at? Never. Never. We're never gonna stop. See that there? Forever and ever we shall do it. Even though they're gonna chase after whatever the hell they chase after. It's all good. Watch this, y'all, little flock. In that day, says I am, will I assemble her that halteth, and I will gather her that is driven out, and her that I have afflicted. See? Those that were afflicted, that were in sorrow, going through the hardships of life because they were dwelling among tares, suffering, the furnace of affliction, like Abba said, the one that he have called out of the fire, that have been called out of the fire. You hear that, little flock? He says, and I will gather her that is driven out, and her that I have afflicted, and I will make her that halteth a remnant, and her that was cast far off a strong nation. See that there, little flock? And I am shall reign over them in Mount Zion from henceforth even for forever. Do you hear it, little flock? Will it ever change or stop? No, it won't. No, the body he has chosen, he has chosen. That's why he said, you are a priest forever, after the order of Melchizedek. It didn't say you're the priest for a few days. He didn't tell me, grandson, you're a priest for a week or two. It's not what he said. He said, you are a priest forever. See? So that means Abba's spirit shall rest in my body forever. Therefore, I cannot die, because Abba's spirit resides in me. That's who's living and animating this body. Abba is. See, that's what a living sacrifice is. It's a body that the original person that was in it gave up his spot so that another person could come in and take over. All right, then. All right, then. We're going to get into that too, little flockalators. O thou, O tower of the flock. You hear that? The stronghold of the daughter of Zion, unto thee shall it come. Unto what shall it come? Unto thee shall what come? Even the first dominion. You hear that, little flock? The kingdom shall come to the daughter of Jerusalem. See that there? Now why dost thou cry out aloud? Is there no king in thee? Is thy counselor perished? For pangs have taken thee as a woman in travail. You hear that, little flockalators? That's that word I was telling you guys about called agonia. Agonia is what the track athlete gets right before he is going to take off running. Agonia is the feeling that the heavyweight boxer feels right before he fights for the heavyweight championship. He's coming down. He's walking down to the ring. He feels agonia. Agonia is that feeling that Eminem was talking about on his song when he said, you got to lose yourself in the music the moment you want it. You got to never let it go. When he was rapping and he was saying, my stomach's upset because of mom's spaghetti. My palms is sweaty. Why are your palms sweaty? Because of agonia. So what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to lose myself. So he's telling you, lose yourself. Don't focus on you, because if you do, you're going to focus on all the agonia you feel. And you won't be able to accept the glory that comes with losing yourself in the feeling during the agonia. Give yourself up. Well, that's what Abba's saying here. Y'all have all been in travail, waiting for your arrival of kingship, waiting for you to sit back eating grapes with your feet kicked up with a royal robe wrapped around you, made out of perfect silk and shit with gold embroidery and all this shit that men love to do. Well, you're waiting for this. See, you're waiting like Joseph had to. You're waiting for that moment of glory. You see, with travail, agonia come right before you get it, brother. Anticipation comes right before you get it, brother. Like I've been telling you that. Because that's when the thief comes to try to rob you of it, of the kingdom, to try to make you go to some other mountain other than Zion, even though Zion is the most excellent one. It's the most exalted, highest mountain that there is. And that's the only place where salvation will be found, is at that particular elevated state of consciousness. The body that is yelling that out, or as he said, shall go out of Zion. The one who is telling you the highest consciousness, that's where salvation is. Now, what's the higher consciousness than what the grandson of right thought is telling you guys? If what I tell you can make you free out of the circumstance you're facing, then what's better for you to have other than what I got to say? Because I can tell you the things that will make you free from whatever it is you're facing, that whatever it is you're afraid of, whatever it is you're scared of. See, that's called salvation, guys. You hear me today? Continuing. He says, verse 10, be in pain and labor to bring forth, O daughter of Zion. See that, agonia, like a woman in travail. For now shalt thou go forth out of the city, and thou shalt dwell in the field, and thou shalt go even to Babylon. See there? There shalt thou be delivered. So all of this is going to happen to you to try to convince you that you're not going to get what you want. I told you that. The thief is going to come. Look at Babylon. Look at Babylon. See what I'm saying? Going to come to steal. You see it? There shall thou be delivered. Hope you hear that there. Delivered means when you have the baby. It also means when you're saved. You notice they're synonymous. What have I told you guys? The grandson is being born. I posted you guys a video of a woman also saying it. I don't even know. I don't know that woman. Somebody showed it and said, hey, look what the woman said. And I took it and showed you guys. Said, look what she said. That's all I be doing. People think when I share somebody else's information, that means I follow that person as if I worship them and believe in them and believe that they're all good and everything. I don't know nothing about all that. All I know is what they said right there is true. That's all I know. So I'm telling you that what they said is true. I don't get all in my feelings about that other crap y'all do. I'm care about the truth. That's what I care about. Y'all looking at a pan full of dirt and rocks, complaining about how much dirt and rocks is in it, while I just snatch the gold nuggets that I find in there out and walk off with them in my pocket while y'all sit there arguing like two stupid whack-a-moles. All right, y'all? There shall thou be delivered. There I am shall redeem thee from the hand of thine enemies. I told you, I am does redeem you from the hand of your enemies. That's what I'm telling all of you. Not somebody else. There's no other God that does it. It's the living God that does it. I am is the living God. I am will deliver you from every circumstance that you're facing. That is the highest form of consciousness that I know of. A key that gives me an escape route out of every illusion thrown my way? Give it to me. What are you talking about? Give me that key. All right. So you shall be delivered. There the Lord shall redeem thee from the hand of thine enemy. Look at that little flock. Now also many nations are gathered against thee, like I told you guys in my last video, that say, let her be defiled, and let our eye look upon Zion. In other words, let us figure out her secret. How did she get so elevated and so strong and in that high position? Because a virtuous woman deserves a high position, nigga. That's how come. I know that the whore is going to get mad when she sees the virtuous woman lifted up and become queen. Well, if you weren't such a nasty, stinking $2 crack whore on the street getting ran through by every every arrow goes into your quiver and every damn thing, then maybe you could sit up there. But since you decided to become a piece of toast on the value level of a piece of toast, then why the hell do you think you need to be sitting up there? See what I mean, little flockalators? Now, what did I just say? What am I really saying? I'm saying I only have one husband. In other words, one thought that I listen to. I don't have many other counsel of minis. No, one God. I listen to one husband. That's all I need. What did you say, honey? Say that? Okay, and then I say it. I don't think about what anybody else got to say because nobody else exists. My husband exists. Now, that's called a virtuous woman. And that kind of woman, a man wants. I'm telling you right now, that's the kind he wants. The kind that don't see you other niggas. She don't even see you. She don't care. She doesn't hear you. She don't give a fuck. Matter of fact, she perturbed if you try to look under her skirt. As we just read, they're trying to do. See their little flockalators? So let's get more into it and see what else it says. Okay. He said, let her be defiled and let our eye look upon Zion. You see that there, little flock? 11. But they know not the thoughts of the Lord. See, you can't figure out how to do love if you ain't love. You can't get in. You can't get the thoughts that belong to love if you can't get through the door, because that's the only way you can get into the sheepfold. Because if you come in some other type of way, then we know what kind of guy you are. You're the kind that want to defile my wife. You're the kind that want to steal my first fruit, don't you? And make it yours, aren't you? See that there, little flock? Watch this here. He says, but they know not the thoughts of I am, neither understand they his counsel. See? For he shall gather them as the sheaves into the floor. Arise and thresh, O daughter of Zion, for I will make thine horn iron, and I will make thy hooves brass, and thou shalt beat in pieces many people, and I will consecrate their gain unto I am, and their substance unto I am of the whole earth. That's right. Give it all to I am. You see, because everything belongs to I am. Y'all just don't know that yet, but y'all about to find that out real nice and quick and smooth, according to what we just read. You see that there? So he says, arise and thresh, O daughter of Zion. You see? For I will make thy horn iron. What is he talking about? He's gonna put armor on you that make you run through people and smash through them because you have the thoughts that they just don't have. So that means when you're having a conversation, watch what I'm saying. When you're having a conversation or a debate with anybody about these topics of God and the Bible, when they try to confront you like they did Yahusha, their thoughts are not coming from love, because that's not why they're talking to you. They're trying to confound you. They're trying to tear what you're saying down. They're trying to disprove you. None of that comes from love. None of that comes from love. So their thoughts are weak. But when your thoughts come up to your mind to say things, they're all coming from the source of love. So they're just pounding that shit down to gravel, and then he stomp on it with the other foot and make it into dust. Every time they talk, that's what your words do to theirs. Because it's coming from the true source of the higher power, from the higher mountain. See their little flockalators. So he said, go ahead on and thrash these niggas up. That's what the grandson doing. Slicing and dicing and stacking their ass up real nice. And then I'm going to vacuum up like a Dyson. Eating these niggas up like bison. You hear me today, little flockalators? All right? So that's Micah 4. I hope you got a good understanding there. But we're going to give y'all a little bit more about this Zion before we finish this message. Hopefully that was edifying to you, brother. I know I was being a little humorous there, but hopefully that edified you and you got a better understanding. All right, where we want to go? Let's go to the book of Joel. Joel chapter 2. Now, all this that we're going to do now is going to give us an even greater understanding of the code that the grandson broke down when he said, the high elevation of the high consciousness of I am, which is love. When it's talking about the holy mountain of Zion, see, that's what it's actually saying there. That's the place where salvation is. The high elevation of thoughts of love. Those are the right thoughts. So he sent you the grandson of right thought to tell you that and to show you that. See? Now let's get it. Joel chapter 2, start at verse 1. Blow ye the trumpet in Zion. The scripture also says, lift up your voice like a what? Like a trumpet. So the one who has the right thoughts, lift up your voice and blow that trump out your mouth and sound an alarm in my set apart mountain. It's only holy because Abba's there, or else it wouldn't be holy. So it's a set apart mountain, that high elevated state. I told you, you cannot set your foot there unless you have become set apart. See, in other words, you can't step your foot into the Holy of Holies unless you're a high priest. I told you guys that's how I'm able to step my foot in there. Now, if I'm not able to step my foot in there, then I cannot tell you any of the things that I am telling you today and every other day when I talk to you guys. See how that's going, little flockalators? But because I am able to tell you those things easily, just like I was summoned to talk about this today. I had no plan on talking about this, but look at the abundance of the words that are coming out as I do. You see what I mean, little flock? I was chilling thinking I was about to do something else. All right? So blow ye the trumpet in Zion and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. See, he says my. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of I am cometh, for it is nigh at hand. blow the trumpet in Zion, sanctify a fast, call a solemn assembly. Now see when it says sanctify a fast? Those who are on Mount Sinai, what kind of fast do you think that they would do, little flockulators? You know what they do, because you know they only think of one type of fast that there is. But there's a better fast that Abba talks about in the book of Isaiah that you guys should all pay attention to, because it is the Melchizedekian fast. You see that there? What is that fast? Read it in the book of Isaiah. Okay? So he says, blow the trumpet in Zion, sanctify a fast, call a solemn assembly. Serious group of folk. Not no people playing around thinking that this is some kind of game to joke around with his name. No, a solemn assembly. Be glad then, ye children of Zion, y'all that are thinking right, y'all that have been birthed into the new way of thinking. See? And rejoice in I am, your power, your love. For he hath given you the former rain moderately, and he will cause to come down for you the rain, the former rain, and the latter rain in the first month. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of I am shall be delivered. What did I tell you, little flock? What God's name do I tell you guys to call on here at the School of Marvelous Light? What have I been telling you guys to call on ever since you first came here and knocked on my door? What God was I telling you about, and what God am I telling you about today? So if you call on that name that I keep telling you guys has saved me so many times and continues to save me to this very moment, it'll save you too. If you call on that name, then you will get delivered, or you will get saved, just like I have so many times. That's the good news. What else would it be? That I don't get saved from nothing? That ain't good news. That I gotta wait a whole long time to find out what the hell's gonna get me out of my circumstance from some man? That ain't good news. What's good news is I don't have to listen to no man. What's good news is I don't have to make no telephone call, even if I can. What's good news is I don't have to go and take a shit with 10 other niggas in the can. Because why? Because I'm going home, because I'm already there. That's the deliverance. That's the deliverance that the scriptures talk about. I'm already there. See what I'm telling you, little flock? And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of I am shall be delivered. For in Mount Zion, that elevated state of consciousness, which is right thought, and in Jerusalem, in the state of right feelings, which is the she that the Bible talks about, is the Lord our righteousness in the book of Jeremiah chapter 33. Look it up if you want to. That's the she of the grandson of right thought, because he is male and female, because in the beginning, Abba created them, male and female created he them, and called their name Adam. It was the thoughts and the feelings. A separated person, or as Yahusha said, a person whose eye is not single is not one within themselves, which means their thoughts and their feelings are not together. They are disjointed, they are divorced. Therefore, they cannot be delivered, because you must have a home in divine order in order to be delivered. So your thoughts and your feelings have to match. So if you're praising God with a joyful heart, and your feelings are matching those thoughts of joyful, praiseful thoughts, and you're one with that, then you'll be delivered. And if you're constantly being saved in his name, why won't you be thankful and happy and praising his name all day? I am. I'm praising him all the time. I am always praising. I am not able to stop praising. You see? All right. For in Mount Zion and in Jerusalem shall be deliverance, as I am hath said, and in the remnant whom Abba shall call. Just like he said, you're gonna make a remnant out of them people that's calling on that name, I am. Not out of nobody else that's calling on some other name. Ain't gonna happen, buddy, because you can't be delivered unless you call on that name, like I did. Now, if I didn't get delivered, then I can't say that that name delivered me. But I tried that name and it did. So then what am I supposed to say, guys? That's all I'm trying to say to you. What am I supposed to tell you all if when I tried it for myself, it worked? And then after that, I said, let me do it again. And then it worked again. And then I said, let me do it again. And then it worked again. And then I said, well, let me just try to do it again. And then it worked again. And then I said, well, there's no need in thinking about doing it again. I might as well just keep on doing it again. And so it just keeps on happening again. And then you think I'm not going to tell you guys that good news, or is that not good news? That every time they put a shackle on my wrist, it fall off. That ain't good news to tell you how to do that? Okay, fine. Then go back to your old world and deal with it the way that you used to deal with it. See how good it does for you. All All right. Isaiah 59, verse 20. Let's get that real quick. Just one little verse, and then we're going to hop, skip, and keep on jumping. Isaiah 59, verse 20. And the Redeemer, capital R there, shall come to Zion, to that place of high praise of right thoughts. That's where he'll come. When he comes like a thief in the night, he will come to that elevated state of consciousness where the grandson of right thought is. You see? And unto them that turn from transgression in the supplanter. See? The ones who are supplanting the old system, who are usurping the old system. See there, little flockalators, saith I am. See there, little flock? See? Now let's see. Psalm 87, verse 2. Let's get that real quick before we finish this out. Psalm 87, verse 2. If you got the Bible, the actual paperback Bible in your hand, your hand's like... It ain't nothing wrong with that when you being preached to. I tell you that right now. It would be better to hear while you're getting preached to than not hear nothing. Watch this here, little flock. I am loves the gates. That means the door in which you enter into. See? The gates of Zion more than all the dwellings of the supplanters. See why I'm called the branch? That scripture right there just proved to you why. It just proved to you why. The gates mean where Abba enters into your body. There are all kinds of people that Abba come into and sup with across this world because he's like a breeze that goes where he wants to go. He goes where he's most welcome. Well, through Abba's travels, he has found that in Mount Zion is the most beautiful place to be received. See there? And I have told you that Zion means right thought. That's why he is called the Lord our righteousness, because he is the Noah who became heir of righteousness. Just as Noah in the day, Yahushua said, Noah became the heir of righteousness. So then how come we read that there's a prophecy of the man who come in the end who bring peace to the earth after her travail, who's called the Lord our righteousness? Because that's the high priest Melchizedek that was chosen out of the last days, out of the fire, cleansed of his iniquity, given the clothing of a high priest, given the name of Abba in his forehead. The Bible told you all that through the prophets. It's all there if you want to search and see. I'm in the prophets right now showing you everything that I'm showing you. I ain't been anywhere else, matter of fact. So out of all of the supplanters, because there are many, Abba loves Zion the most. See that there? The branch. That's why Yahusha says, John in whom I loved. It doesn't mean he don't love the other supplanters, the other branches. It's not what it means. It just means he loved him for a certain reason. His choice. See that there, little flock? So the Lord loveth the gates of Zion more than all the dwellings of Jacob. See, the gates are representative of your arms open in praise to receive him. You see that, little flock? Your heart has to be open to receive him, and he will pour into it in measure to how open it is. So if you see somebody pouring a bunch of word of God out with great fervency and power, it's because their heart is filled with it. Like I told you, it was wide open. That's how I got filled. It was empty of everything else, and it only wanted Abba in there. So Abba got in there, and it only wanted him. So that was like a woman that only wanted you, that was beautiful. And you said, you only want me? Well, then you think I'm not going to love going in there every day? Yes, I am. I love falling into her arms. That's a virtuous woman that only waits for me. She will not go until she gets my thought. And that pisses humans off, because humans be like, we should do this, we should do this, we should do this. Just like Peter did to Yahusha. We should do this, Yahusha, we should do this. You're like, get behind me. Chill out, man. Stop tripping. I ain't doing a damn thing unless I see Abba do it. That's how the grandson be. And sometimes that causes people to have to wait too long, and they get impatient and run off. So I can't keep on waiting to hell with this nigga. You ain't doing nothing. You right. I ain't doing a damn thing. Abba ain't with it. My husband don't say shit. I ain't doing shit. What kind of wife you is, nigga? Your husband say don't move and you start moving. You unruly bitch. Grandson, I'm going to smack you on the hand. Stop. All right. Romans chapter 9. Now, you see how I said I'm going to smack you on the hand, grandson, because you're talking like that and being like that? How I'm all edgy? I told you, my mama gave me the nickname Curb. Curb is that thing on the street that if you run into it with your car, it's going to tear your damn car up because you went out of line. It's going to knock you back because you went over the edge. See that there? And it's a rock that offends when you hit it. Pow! Shit! Tear your rims up, busted your tire, and all kind of shit. Well, let's see why that is. Remember, there's a woman that God loved to come into more than other women named Zion. You see that there, little flockalators? As it is written, Romans 9:33. As it is written, behold, I lay in Zion. Let's go back real quick. Let's go back. Get a little bit more, y'all. Oh, my device died, y'all. Oh, my device died. That was Roman. And it says, behold, I lay in Zion a stumbling stone and a rock of offense. But he who believeth on him, what, y'all, shall not be offended. See it, little flockalators? Do you hear that and do you see it? So that means that when you get up to Zion, there is a rock up there. Rock means an immovable object. That's that virtuous wife. That's the grandson of right thought. Standing on Zion with a great flaming sword in his hand, saying, you sure you're my husband's wife too? You sure? You part of this body? Let me check you and make sure. Come on. Yes, I'm doing the weapons check, like I told you guys the other day, because I'm a virtuous woman, and I'm not going to be sister wives with those nasty, stinking, dirty, greasy ass draws having ass girl. I ain't. I don't like $2 crackheads trying to spend the night with my husband. Are you crazy as hell or what? Y'all understand what I'm actually saying there? So there's a rock there that don't move when you get there. You see it? And it offends many people. They're like, I don't get it. How in the hell is this rock here? Well, if you're not offended, but you actually believe on what he tells you, and you're not offended by what he tells you, then you can enter in. Because it's a heart check. That's the only reason it's offensive. I told you all that. If you're offended by anything that I do, it is only carnal things that offend you. It is not spiritual things that offend you. See? You see it? So that means that you have to endure the offensive things in order to get the spiritual things. You have to endure physical things to endure to get spiritual benefits every time anyway. If you want to feel good about your body, then you have to go through the physical suffering and pain of doing the work to get the body. It's just everywhere. So there's no need in acting funny when it's here. It's a heart check when you get to me. And I'm going to make sure that, are you really serving out of love, out of a pure heart, or just out of trying to look fanciful, as I say? Are you some type of girl that likes to put on makeup to impress my husband? Take that makeup off your face and let me really see you. See, that's like, what do you really talk like when you're not in front of people? I talk the same. So if it offends you, then I'm not going to unoffend you. And then when I go secretly, start back talk. No, it's pure. It just is. See? And if that offends you, then you can't believe and you can't get the wisdom. That's why it is. Told y'all that, little flockalators. I know sometimes I speak in things will sometimes be things that be hard to be understood. I'm aware of that. And so will you if you are a supplanter. Because supplanters and usurpers are throwing away the old dogma, like I told you, the old rudiments, the old things that have had people locked down since forever. That's what you're actually fighting against, you see? So y'all be blessed today, and I hope that message blessed you all, just like it blessed me. Y'all be blessed. Silouan Misraela.